Today, I'm going to share a secret other people are already using that you didn't know about. So let me ask you this. Do you want a magic box full of master tradesmen with incredible skills who are just dying to work for you? How does that sound? Well, I found that huge magic box full of unicorns. Today, we're going to head all the way over to Europe. Specifically, we're going to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Our guest is Samuel Schneider, and he runs a program called journeymanstaff.com. I'm going to pick his brain on the difference in how trades are viewed in Europe versus North America. It's crazy how they see things over there. Number two, why somebody would want to come and work in North America. And number three, the level of skill a European craftsman has when they step off the plane. Now, my team and I also looked at our archive of professional development tools, and I think the best one to support you if you decide to bring on skilled craftsmen from Europe is the onboarding SOP. It's a pre-made template. You can take your company operations right away, or you can use it as a starting point to customize for how you want things done. Either way, you're going to get the inside look at a professional SOP for a professional wood shop, because if you're going to hire a high caliber person, I think you and I both want to make sure that person works out, right? If you want that onboarding SOP, just shoot me a text message. My cell phone's 315-903-7853. And just say onboarding SOP and we'll shoot it off to you. Now, let's go over to the studio and learn about fully trained woodworking craftsmen from Europe who are interested in coming over to you in North America. Mr. Sam Schneider, how the heck are you?
Good. Hey, Dominic, so great to be on your show.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to having you on here since I first ran across you on Instagram. And your ad jumped out to me because, man, is that a point of curiosity for a lot of us.
And you know, that ad, actually, one of my working students made it. So I have to give props to that guy. He's in college, but he does great job. Does a great job. So I'll have to tell him, you know, it's all thanks to him that I'm on here right now.
Yeah, there you go. You're world famous. Well, I think you're going to be even more worlder famouser after this, because the this audience is cabinet makers, architecture millworkers, people in the closet trades, and we're always looking for skilled people. And there's this nirvana. There's this perfect dream person that walks through the door who is like, I'm just going to tell you what it is. The perfect guy is like an Austrian guy who's like super specific, very technically skilled, who just wanders through town and says, I'm looking for a job.
And he's like a master tradesperson, right?
Yeah, a master craftsman. And you're actually the source of that, which is incredible.
Well, I'm not that person. I'm not that person by a far degree.
No, but we need you to find that guy. We need you to find that guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let me do the intro. Let me ask you who you are, because people don't know who you are. So.
Yeah, I mean, go for it. I'd be happy to give you a bit of an overview.
Yeah, I'll ask the big question here. Sam Schneider, who the heck are you? And how is it that you come to be speaking to all these forward-facing cabinet makers and architectural millworkers and closet specialists all over the world?
Well, I know I'm Sam. You introduced me, right? I'm actually from Switzerland. I live in Berlin, Germany at the moment. So that's a bit of a bend. I don't know how many European guests you actually have on the show. So that's probably, is it the first? Is it the first having a European guest?
No, I like to call on Europeans, especially when it comes to multi-generational family business type things.
Okay.
So you're not the first, but you're few.
Okay, cool. So I own a company called Journeyman. So Journeyman is kind of the journeying tradesperson as we have them here in Europe, right? And you know, like how kind of the trades are really looked down upon sometimes. You know, it's not seen as a great career choice. A lot of parents are like, you know, don't go into the trades. And you know, even if you're a great tradesperson, like a lot of these kind of white collar people will look down on you. Do you know kind of know that feeling?
I do. Yeah, I understand it 100%.
Yeah. So kind of with Journeyman, we're trying to change that a bit by bringing pride back to the trade. So the way we're doing that is actually we're sending young German, Swiss, and Austrian tradespeople. So, you know, especially like cabinet makers, joiners, woodworkers, to work with companies in North America. So across North America. Yeah.
I'm so happy right now. There are people jumping out of their shoes I'm dying to hear that. Well, and you know, we need quality people no matter what. But
Mm,
that there's something about the way that you approach training people in Europe that's different than we do in North America. I'm sure we're going
mm.
to jump into it, but this is very exciting,
Yeah,
really exciting.
yeah, yeah. And I think, I think in the end, of course, it's a business. It has to make money. But I think we have four main goals with Journeyman, right? We want
Mm.
to kind of uh, fill that gap, that skill shortage gap that's in North America. I mean, we have one in Europe as well, but I think the one in North America is actually wider than we have right here. We want to kind of showcase the skill set from Europe. I think you guys in North America, you have so much going for you. I think especially like in tech, you're probably eons ahead of Europe. But I think when it comes to trades, or especially like woodworking, I think we still have a good thing going over in Europe, especially like Germany, Austria, Switzerland. So kind of we want to enable that transfer of skills. So these young people, let's call him Simon, right? Simon, master tradesperson from Austria or from Germany. He'll go join a architectural woodworking company we have a client in Los Angeles. Can't say who, but we have a client in Los Angeles. They do very fancy stuff in all these Hollywood mansions.
Yeah.
And of course he'll be a great asset to that company. But just by being in the shop or by installing on site, he'll transfer some of his skills to those American employees that our partner company has, right? So it's kind of that skills transfer that we're looking for. And then, of course, we also want to kind of give these young people the chance to explore the world and their career options. So it's really, I think it's a win-win for all sides.
Yeah, it's incredible. Where I first run across this is by accident. In both cases, it was Italians. So people that are Italian here who had family over in Italy and just by chance knew somebody who was a cabinet maker and brought that person over. And they stay for 2 years or whatever the length of time is that was convenient for all parties. And then they went back, but it wasn't repeatable. There was no way to find another Italian guy. And I know you mentioned 3 countries, but we're talking, we're looking for people who are skilled that really nobody else has found. Like all of us want that unicorn, and it seems like you're a unicorn factory. So this is very
I wouldn't say a unicorn. I'm a facilitator of unicorn transfer.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
that would make a great T-shirt. Hey, that would make
I don't educate these people, but I think we're quite good at attracting that, and I think I actually have a lot of young people that reach out to us nowadays that are still doing their apprenticeship. So I mean, we can go into the whole educational aspect of how the trades work in Europe a bit later.
Do that.
But
let's
we can jump into it right now.
Yeah, let's paint that big picture, because I think the big picture, the context is different. Like, how does somebody go into the trades in Europe, and how might that be different than North America? And the reason I want to do that is so our listeners understand how your tradespeople are a little bit different than what we have here.
And I would say different is the right word. I wouldn't say it's kind of better or worse or anything like that. I really think it's just the approach that is different. So I think the first big thing, and I think a lot of people have different stances on government regulation, but I think when it comes to professional job titles or certain skill sets, as a bit of regulation might make sense in terms of that all like a woodworker or a cabinet maker, it's a protected title in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, for example.
What does that mean? It's a protected title.
It's a protected title. It means that you have to have a finished apprenticeship and have a government certificate, like a degree, to be able to call yourself a woodworker. I think it kind of depends from state to state in North America, but right. But from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that in a lot of states, anybody can call themselves a woodworker, or like a carpenter. You can just go on a building site and use a nail gun and like, I'm a carpenter now. I mean, I've got a year of experience. I'm a carpenter now. Yeah. So that's not allowed. You can't call yourself a carpenter. So basically the way it works is when you're like 16 or 17, so right out of high school, you usually decide, should I go the apprenticeship way or should I go kind of the academic way, right? And apprenticeships still have a very are still very highly regarded over here in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria at least. And there's not only apprenticeships for the trades. You can also do an apprenticeship at a bank or whatever else. But let's focus on the trades for now, right? So then you'll have young Simon, right? He wants to become a woodworker, cabinet maker. So he'll do a very structured apprenticeship for 3 to 4 years. That'll be usually like 2 days of school a week where he'll kind of learn the whole theoretical framework, the CAD drawing, kind of designing individual pieces of furniture, different techniques. Also have a sponsoring company where he works for the rest of the week. So for 3 days a week, he'll work there. And this school is more kind of a supplement, right? Because not every company can teach him all facets of the trade. So so it's always that kind of thought that we will supplement it a bit with school. And really, after 4 years, he can, take his exam, and he'll be a fully fledged woodworker. And that kind of, and there's this whole tradition around it. They have their I wouldn't call them costumes, but they're the traditional woodworker costumes that they wear to the graduation. So it's kind of, I know in the US or in North America, you have these graduation caps, right, for college.
Right.
Yeah. So we just wear a suit, but it's a bit the same thing. That's kind of that pride of when you graduate, you'll wear your woodworker's gown and stuff like that. So there's this whole pride.
There's a recognition of the trade, and I mean that's where the program or that word even started, was Europe. Is there a multi-generational aspect where somebody? What I always understand is there's pride. There's like, my father was a woodworker, my grandfather was a woodworker, and we could trace it. That's what our family does.
I think there might be a bit. So we have a couple of young people that say, hey, my dad actually owns a woodworking shop, for example. But we have just as many who said, look, I went to high school and many of my friends went to college, but it just wasn't for me. My dad's an accountant, but I was like, okay, I want to do something artistic, something with my hands. I want to become an architectural woodworker. So I wouldn't say necessarily. I do think that there's evidence showing that if your parents were academics, you're more likely to be an academic as well. Or if your parents are a woodworker, you're probably more likely to be a woodworker as well, because it's what you know, right? And it's what your parents know. But I wouldn't say it's as a rule of thumb, though.
Yeah. So why do they want to come to North America? Why do these young, actually paint me a picture of Simon so everybody understands who Simon is and what he looks like. And then maybe use that to say, why the heck would he want to come to North America?
Yeah, absolutely. So who's Simon? Simon, I would say he's usually between like 21 to 35 fish, kind of, probably with an average of about 25, 26, something like that, right? And he's a guy, he's done his apprenticeship. He's worked a couple of years. Perhaps he even went on to become a master woodworker. And now he's like, all these university students, all these college students here in Europe, it's quite normal to do an exchange semester. So you'll go, I went to Buenos Aires in Argentina for a semester, which was not very academic, but it was more for fun. My parents were like, okay, do what you have to do, but okay. A lot of travel. Beautiful country, Argentina, but that's as a side note. And traditionally, the trades never had that opportunity, right? There's this very traditional journey that the tradespeople can do, but it lasts for 3 years. So not a lot of people do that anymore. So there was really this thing where young tradespeople didn't have the same opportunities as college students to do kind of an exchange semester, an exchange year. So that's Simon. He's 25. Couple of years of experience, and he's restless, right? He's still single. He doesn't have a family yet, so he's like, if I want to do something, I have to do something now. And that's kind of when we come in. We're like, hey, listen, this could be kind of the next stepping stone in your career. Perhaps you want to own your own business at a certain point, or you want to become a leading hand, or perhaps you even want to switch to the office and be more of a kind of a project manager going forward. But all of that, actually, going abroad for a year will teach you so many life skills. It'll teach you independence. Right. It won't be your mom doing your laundry anymore. It'll teach you having to navigate in a foreign country, in a different language. You'll learn English. So many super important life skills that I feel the younger generation doesn't necessarily always have.
Yeah.
So I think, so yeah, so he's again, 20-something year old, most of the time not married yet, not a family yet. And they're like, look, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. I want to see a different country, live in a different culture for a year, and just get that feeling. And then some of them end up meeting the love of their life and getting married.
Course,
and we have a couple of journeyman kids now, so that's always nice
do you
to
really?
hear. But
Oh, that's neat.
yeah.
So the full circle. I know that one of the challenges that we hear on this side is that somebody who's in a more rural area, like they've got a millwork shop or cabinetry shop, and they're a little bit more in the countryside, or they're off in the mountains, so they're a little more remote, and it's very difficult to find people. And when you and I did our pre-interview, we were talking about how many Germans love to be, they love to come over here and go to the forest. They like to go to the hiking, and so
ice fishing. Like we have a couple of clients in Minnesota, and there's all these lakes around, and they send me pictures. They're like, "Hey, it's so awesome. We were able to drive the truck on the ice, and we even made a fire on the ice." And they're like, "What? Fire on the ice?" Yeah. And
crazy.
They get drunk on the ice, like everything.
Well, who doesn't, right? I'm about to go. About to go ice
I've
fishing
never been ice fishing.
Oh, you've never done it?
I mean, we don't have it over here,
it's right? It's not a high skill activity. It's mostly about the socializing, but
probably right.
But you see, that's the thing. It's romantic, I think, for somebody that wants to come over here and surf or ski or be in a rural area, or they really love horses and they want to be in a ranching area. We would tend to forget. We just think, oh, I'm way off here. I'm 2 hours from the nearest town. But perhaps for a young person from Germany, Switzerland, Austria, that's the most perfect setting for them.
I mean, for a year, that's what they're doing it for, right? They go over there for a year, some a bit longer. I mean, and I think it's a great deal for the partners that we work together with. I mean, we've got one partner in a partner company in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. It's like a big skiing area. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
He even bought trucks for the guys, so it's really nice because they have to go on site and do some installation work sometimes. But for these guys, they usually actually go up to 18. So it goes up to 18 months in the US. The visas can extend a bit. But he's got 4 of our guys on rotation, So we've got, let's call them Simon, Tim, Colin, and Hans starting January 25, right? And they'll stay for a year and a half, kind of 6 months before these guys finish up. We'll kind of, we'll send them over a couple of new profiles to interview, and they'll be like, okay, let's take the next 4. Let's take whatever, Sam, and 3 others, So they're kind of on a rotation. They stay for a year and a half, and it's awesome. I mean, we've got Steamboat Springs, Colorado. We've got some kind of remote coastal towns along the coast of California. We also have clients in Canada. Like we have one in Squamish, which is like in British Columbia. One in like the Muskoka region of Ontario.
I think that is.
Ontario, right? But yeah, mainly in the US. So it's I think I'd love, sometimes when I see the pictures, I'm like, okay, I
can't go
jump over there for a couple of weeks.
Well, let us know when you're here. Hey, listen, there's a couple of admin things that come to mind. So first, what's their level of English when they come here? Or, because a lot of us are already struggling with other languages, and, it might be even harder. It might be easy for us to find Hispanic speaking people to manage the Hispanic speaking works, but it might be hard to find a Swiss speaking person. So are the people that come over, do they typically have a level of English?
So, I mean, don't expect them to write a Shakespearean essay or something like that, but
never read one, so I wouldn't know if they got it wrong.
No, but I mean, look, in the end, our schooling system is so that English is the first language we learn at school, and we learn it from second or third grade. So basically, they've had 10 years of school English, which surprisingly some of them are still super bad, but we really prepare them for these interviews. So they always interview with our partner companies. So like our partner companies can really kind of gauge their English level. And it's really never been a problem. Literally, when they go over there, a week or 2 on the work site, and they're fluent. I mean, not perfectly in grammar, but
enough to get the job done.
They can make themselves understood. They understand instructions. They can answer. They can have small talk. No problem.
Yeah. How do they ever give you feedback on the difference between imperial and metric measurements?
Yeah, I mean it's a bit of a pain, and we actually we custom ordered tape measures that have like the imperial on one side and the centimeters on the other side, and we kind of send one to each person going out so that they're a bit prepared. Yeah. And I think it does get some getting used. Sorry, my English. It does take some getting used to, but they all manage. We've never had a complaint from our partner companies about that.
How did they find out about you in Europe? Like how does Simon? We're going to talk about Simon. Yeah. Like how does he find you?
I mean, same as you, social media, right? I mean, it's we advertise on social media, so TikTok, Instagram. We've got there's been this new class of construction or woodworking influencers popping up over here in Germany. So kind of young guys or girls that are super into their trades and they're filming themselves and kind of a lot of DIY stuff. So we've worked together we've had a couple of collaborations with these kind of influencers that then repost on their accounts, and and then they just sign up and fill out their profile, and then we interview them usually before we kind of present them to any partner companies of ours.
Yeah.
But yeah, social media works really well, and I mean we've been around for a while, so we also have a lot of word of mouth, right? Kind of the older brother telling the younger brother, hey, I've done this, and actually kind of professional school teachers telling their pupils, hey, listen, there's this opportunity to go abroad, etc. So we also sometimes work with chambers of commerce or chambers of trades that then kind of spread the word a bit. So, but yeah, mainly social media.
I know that one of the things that we had going here, it still might be going, I just haven't had a chance to use them, but there was a labor pool of Irish guys but it was actually traveling Irish rugby players.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But were they qualified? Like, did they have the?
No, they were more labor. They were more labor or general labor, but you could use them. Once you tied into there, sometimes they had a background in, carpentry or masonry or some other thing. But it was much more loose than that. It was just a rugby team that had a lot of connections, and you just get these huge guys.
Yeah, I mean they can lift.
They can lift. Yeah, they can lift and they can push and they can do some of the things you need done.
Yeah.
So if I'm understanding correctly, your role is really that of a recruiter. You're like a recruiter, what we call that.
I mean, I don't like being called a recruiter because I think what we're doing is kind of more valuable than just that. But yeah, in the end, we're a matchmaker. Yeah. So in the end, we're a matchmaker between our partner companies in North America and these young tradespeople. We qualify the tradespeople, and we also do all the admin around what comes with sending somebody abroad, right? So if Simon wants to go to the US, he'll need a visa, he'll need housing, he'll need transportation, he'll need insurances. So we try to do the full service here. So we're really taking care of all of that.
Oh, so you help with paperwork because there's obviously considerable paperwork bringing somebody into the United States, or as you mentioned, some go to Canada. And then you help them with accommodations as well?
I mean, we don't provide accommodation per se, but I mean, we know how to navigate all the online platforms, right? We can give them tips. Okay, if you go to, let's say, Steamboat Springs, like Facebook Marketplace is the tool to use, or like some employers might offer like temporary accommodation. Like we know that Greg from partner company XYZ, he's got a little shack in his garden where there's two beds in there, and you guys can use that for the first couple of weeks until you're set up with more permanent accommodation. So we facilitate it, right? So we just don't want, soft landing, exactly.
You give them a soft
or like there's certain partner companies that are like, hey, we want to pick the guys up from the airport. I mean, feel free to do that, but we'll help them get to your location if you don't. I mean, for example, the guys from Steamboat Springs, they usually go pick them up at the airport. We just have a new partner company that's even higher up in Leadville. Leadville is, I think, the highest city in the world or something, or in North America at least, So we've got another partner company up there, and we've got, I think, two woodworkers up there right now.
Yeah. So interesting. I'm curious about the scope, or what would you call it? The skill scope. So, because you mentioned they might come over and want to do project management or be more interested in project management. One of the gaps that we have here is just around cabinetry engineering or millwork engineering, because it's a thing, but it doesn't exist in school. So what's the scope that your guys, and I imagine it's mostly men?
It's mostly men. I think we've got about 15 to 20% women going over there. So there's some of that, but it's just by the nature of things, it's mostly men. Sorry, I have to ask you to clarify. What do you understand as woodworking engineering? So we're like being in the shop and actually producing the pieces and putting them together and cutting them and etc.
Yeah, so looking at the plans as
Mm.
they've been given to the
Yep.
shop, and then
Mm.
saying it's going to go through our machinery.
Mm.
Let's say we need to make an L-shaped hole.
Mm.
So the
Yep.
engineer would say, "Oh, we're going to use this machine in this part of the process
Mm.
to do that, and or we're going to use this other machine to do that." So the
Mm.
engineer really makes it so that the shop can produce it. They do the
Okay.
drawing so the shop can produce it.
Yeah. So I mean, the example with project management was more about for them further down their career. So they're not looking to come over to the US and or the North America and do project management per se. So I think most of them are. The good thing with our very structured apprenticeship system is that they're quite well versed. So they'll have experience in the shop, kind of putting together the pieces of furniture or of cabinets. They'll have experience doing what you call the engineering part. So kind of reading the blueprints, kind of figuring out which machinery to use, giving instructions to others. And they'll usually also have experience doing installations. So they and as part of their apprenticeship, they actually have to produce a piece of furniture from A to Z. So they have to come up with their own design, do their own drawing, then go to the shop, use the machines, do their own cutting and putting together, and then do the installation at the client side. So it's that's kind of what they call their journeyman piece, right? Their last piece of examination. And then it really depends after that on what they kind of specialized in those couple of years of experience they had post apprenticeship. So we've got people that are more specialized doing installation. We've got people that are more specialized doing shop work. So that really kind of depends on the candidate you're getting.
Yeah. So if I
Does that make
called you,
sense?
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it's a range. Now, if I called you and I was in, let's just keep using Steamboat Springs as an example because it's so beautiful. Why not?
Yeah. Have you been?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't. But it's one of the ski hills you just want to get to, right? It's on the list. But imagine I called you from Steamboat Springs. Do you put 5 potential candidates in front of me or 2? Like, what does it kind of look like?
Yeah. So let's get into logistics then. I mean, first off, this is not a quick fix solution. So we always say when we start working together with a partner, if you're not in this for kind of the mid to long run, then it's not worth starting because it's quite a lot of work to get set up for these first candidates. And it's not like a labor hire company where you'll have somebody there tomorrow. So for the first candidate, it's like a lead time of, let's say, 3 to 4 months, all in all, something like that. And then we can ramp up from there, right? We have partner companies that have 10 people on rotation. They've gotten one new person coming in every month, one person leaving. So it's really it's a program. It's an ongoing program, but it does take some time to ramp up and
ramp it up. Right.
Yeah, exactly. What we like to do is we like to start with 1 or 2 candidates with a new partner. That no matter their size, if they're big or small, or even if they tell us we want 10 guys, we're like, hey guys, this is a getting to know each other, right? We're because our creed is talent first, right? So we want to make sure that the partner companies we're sending our talents to, our candidates to, are trustworthy, that the experience they're having is good, because there's parents out there that trust us as an organization that we're going to take care of their son or their daughter who's like 22 or 23 for a year, right? So especially when we work together with new partner companies, we prefer sending them a bit older candidates and just 1 or 2 to start with. So let's give it a try, and then once let's say Simon and Tim have been there for 3 or 4 months, everything is peaches. The company loves it, the candidates love it. We've got great feedback from both sides. Then we start ramping it up, and then usually, let's say you tell me, hey, I want to start with whatever 1 or 2 people. Then you'll usually get like 3 profiles from us. So we pre-select. We really look what are kind of what's the culture of that company, where are they located, what skill sets are they looking for, and then we really drill down into our pool of available candidates, and we handpick 3 or 4 max candidates that you would then interview.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of the approach. So I prefer moving slow at the beginning just to make sure that the foundations are right. I think every great partnership has to be built on the right foundation, right? So, and I prefer doing that a bit slower, at perhaps the expense of not making 5 or 6 placements at a new company at once. But I'm fine with that, because in the long run, I believe it's about trust, it's about reputation, it's about providing an incredible service for our partner companies, as well as the young people that trust us with a year of their life in their 20s, right? So I think for me, it's about that.
Yeah, these are real people here. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's interesting that you and I really haven't spoken before, but one of the very first things you look at for the companies that you place is their culture. And I would imagine their values. Like, what's it like? Because we don't want to send somebody into a bad place to work.
Yeah. And I think we can evaluate some of those things remotely from kind of video calls as we have right now. So for us, like, a big no-no is not jumping on a video call with us, because we want to see the people that we work together with. And especially with like small to mid-sized companies, we want to speak to the owner, because they're going to be the ones that have influenced the culture or the DNA of the company most, right? If it's like an owner family. We want them to have like a minimum set of professionality. So if they miss meetings with us, or if they postpone, or if they like, there's all these soft factors but you can always only be that safe, and then at a certain point, you just have to take a leap of faith and be like, okay, let's do this.
Sam, it's funny that you say that, but we look for fit at our company as well. We just call it fit. But there's certain soft cues that people give off, and you just know that, not interested in working with that.
Red flags. You'd say red flags in dating nowadays, right?
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. I'm no longer dating, which makes my wife very happy, by the way.
Me neither. But I sometimes watch his Instagrams and stuff like that, and then there's like these girls saying like, "Oh, those are red flags to watch out for in guys," or something like that.
But, right. Red flags if he's not making $500,000 a year, right?
Yeah, whatever. If he's not paying on the first date.
Crazy stuff. So let's talk about the caution. Let's talk about red flags. If there was a caution, something that everybody should be aware of that they tend to gloss over, what would that caution be? What have we, what's our vision of getting this great, technically skilled, very interesting person come over, but there's also this caution? What would that be?
You mean kind of hesitations that new partner companies usually have?
No.
Or are we talking about red flags?
Yeah, no, something that typically gets dealt with in the future. I'll come at it a different way. I'm sorry, Sam.
No,
I've hired one of your guys, and there was a misconception in my mind. And so I call you and I'm like, hey, Sam, you didn't tell me X, Y, or Z.
Okay.
What would that be?
I think over the years we've gotten very good at managing expectation. I think at the beginning, the notion that these guys would be coming for a limited amount of time was not always perfectly communicated. So we might have told it to the first point of contact, but that might not have gone through to the owner or whatever. So then, they expect, oh, there's the Germans coming. He'll be here with us for 5 years. No, he'll be there for a year and a half, and then we can send a new person.
Yeah.
And I know that's still big hesitation for a lot of new companies, but then I tell them, look at it this way. Like, if you hire somebody in the US, a new hire, what's the average time they're going to be with you? Like, right? It's usually
I mean, it depends on the company, but yeah.
It's usually like, if you get a year and a half out of a new young hire that's like 25 and super skilled, on average, some might stay longer, some might not stay as long. It's still good, and our guys are going to be great from day one. So really, like, that's perhaps like a positive caution. Like, I've had a lot of people tell me, like, we didn't realize just how quickly your guys would start paying off, right? Be up to speed. Like, I've had this one, and they're kind of not so much architectural. They're a bit of a bigger production facility, for a woodworking production facility. And they were like, you usually have like these 2 months of guided training for new employees. But like, after 2 weeks, your guys were better than their trainers. Like, we were like, okay, you showed the others how it's done.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
So that's but yeah, I would say not so much when they're over there, more like leading up to it. So I think there's just, with what we do, there's a lot of explaining like we do here that needs to be
Right.
done with new partner companies. They're like, I think the first thing is always like, why the heck are you guys doing this? Why would a German come over to
I
North
know.
America, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then we have to explain all of these things and the skill set. And I think the education plays a big role. So I think there's this notion that Germans are well educated, but people usually they have this fuzzy idea, and then you need to explain it to them how the apprenticeship actually works and how the visa process works. And then there's a lot of kind of uncertainty and angst. Do you understand the word angst? Like
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Around the whole visa process, and are they going to be here legally, and how does housing work, etc. So I think the admin around it is usually what builds up the biggest blockers in people's mind.
Yeah. I was going to ask about the admin around it because you keep mentioning a year to a year and a half. What drives that time block?
Yeah. There's two factors to it. So I think the way we market it is, hey, it's a year abroad and then you come back home. So that's how we market it to young people, because I think for a 25-year-old to say, I'll go to the US indefinitely, you won't find a lot of people that way, right? We sometimes have people that stay for a second year or stay longer. We've had this one person meet the love of their life, getting married, and then of course they were able to stay. But that's kind of the first factor. This is just the way we market it. It's kind of 8 to 18 months kind of thing.
Sure.
8 months absolute minimum, and then up to kind of 18 months, just a year abroad. And the second limiting factor is the visa duration. So we, for both Canada and the US, we found kind of young professional visas that work very well, but they're limited in time. So for Canada, it's max 2 times 12 months. So it's 12 months and you can extend it by another 12 months. And for the US, it's maximum 18 months. And the reason we work with these is because if you would go for a normal like H-1B visa or or any of these other visas in the US,
Sure.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, the technical stuff.
Yeah, it'll take you a year or two just to get the visa, and it costs about $10,000. The way we do it with these young professional visas, the process takes us about a month and a half, and it's about $1,000. So a lot easier.
Lean manufacturing.
Yeah, probably.
Right, lean manufacturing. Yeah. Sam, this has just been so incredibly interesting. And I think at the very least, you and I have opened the conversation for some really smart leaders out there who see this as a potential solution. So if somebody wants to reach you or find out more about you, how do we do that?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for asking. I mean, also, even if you're not interested in having anybody over, if you just want to chat and get to know more about the kind of European education system, because I've had a lot of people actually reach out to me and ask, hey, how can we implement like a good apprenticeship system at our company? So I'm always happy to chat about that. So our website is journeymanstaff.com. So it's just journeymanstaff.com, all one word. And you can reach myself at sam@journeyman.io. That's sam@journeyman.io. So it's not .com, it's .io. Yeah, or LinkedIn, Samuel Schneider. That's always an option. Just add me on LinkedIn. I don't know. I know not everybody in the architectural millworking space has LinkedIn, but that's always an option as well.
Yeah, and of course, people can reach out to me, and we can make the connection for you. But Sam@journeyman.io, and I just want to point out to everybody that's Journeyman, not Journeymen.
Yeah.
It's
Journeyman, MAN. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, at the very end.
The website is journeymanstaff.com. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, folks, I'm a resource. If you need to reach Sam and you can't find him, contact me. I just want to say thank you. This has just been incredible. I know that so for instance, a really good friend of mine married a CNC operator from Bremen, Germany.
Oh, wow.
Who was over here traveling, so nice. And they met, and now they're married. And that wasn't the intent, I don't think, of either of them, but I know that.
Do they live back in Germany or do they live in North America?
They live here. Because she's got a lot more family, I think, than he does, but they're planning to move back to Europe after retirement. So there's that. And then I also know where we have our cottage, where we have our cabin, which is, out in the woods. There's a lot of Germans, it turns out, that love to live there because I think it's like the Black Forest. It's what they see as the original, real, raw forest. Yeah. And there's a draw.
No, that's crowded as over here. Yeah.
Maybe that too. Yeah, maybe that too. But it's very accessible where, it's not as accessible maybe in Europe. So, but of course, those are remote areas. And if somebody's trying to run a business in that remote area, they can't find they just can't find that skilled level of labor. So I think you might be making some new friends here shortly through this podcast.
Cool. Yeah, looking forward to it. And as I said, I mean, if anybody listening here just wants to chat and learn more about our system, that's also fine. Yeah. Feel free to reach out.
Thanks, Sam. Now, folks, if you have any questions, leave them here in the YouTube comments or leave them on the podcast. We're happy to answer them. Anything that doesn't make it to Sam, we're happy to forward on to him. Sam, thanks for being on the show, and we'll look forward to having you on again in the future at some point.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well. Thank you, Samuel. So good to meet you. Here's a couple of key takeaways I got from that interview. Number one, skilled trades are just viewed differently in Europe than they are here, which is really interesting. Number two, why a master craftsman like Simon was the name that we used would want to come over to your ski town, ranch town, oceanfront town, mountain town, cool town, prairie town, desert town, college town, famous town, lake town, fishing town, or your hunting town. It's pretty cool to them. Number three, how to onboard them properly so that if they just stay for 2 years, you still get Simon's brother, his cousin, his best friend's neighbor working for you at some point. Sounds like a big win. And of course, we talked about the onboarding SOP to make sure you're bringing any people onto your team properly so that you get a really efficient, happy, hardworking crew, and you get to accomplish all the goals that you want as a business owner. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. What you're learning here on this channel are secrets other contractors are already using that you probably didn't know about. Any more information you need, like I said, just text me or get the onboarding SOP. My cell phone is 315-903-7853. That has to be the easiest way for us to get in touch with each other. Trying to make it easy, trying to help as many people as I can, and that works pretty cool. Hey, just thinking about this, there's some related topics here on YouTube or other podcast episodes. Number one, go back and listen to the episode or watch the episode here on YouTube of how I found a project manager for a wood shop. That's an interview I did with Suman Cherry. She's an HR specialist. She's actually been on the podcast and the YouTube a couple times. There's another episode called How to Hire Carpenters. There's a really good episode called Self-Implementing EOS, How to Get Back to Basics and Make It Work. All of these are in the archive library. And then, of course, for those of you interested in finishers, and I'm not sure that, you could probably get finishers from Europe too, but for the ones we get here in North America, this works as well. How do I hire the right finisher for my wood shop with Diane Shatik? You guys know finishers are a lot like hockey goalies. It's that same sense of humor, that same approach. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean. Look, I appreciate you listening, but this is just a slim and weak replacement. This whole show for that, to replace that point in time when you and I could sit down, have a cup of coffee, maybe a glass of wine over a table, face to face with each other and catch up. Until then, I really appreciate you checking in. I hope you get tons of value. Remember to like and subscribe so that other people know that they get value here, and we will see you on the next episode. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.